There's also back of the throat ones too, where it's like tickling the back of your uvula, just a gob of phlegm. You start feeling like it's like in your nose.
Oh my, someone called the National Weather Service. We had an unanticipated storm in the building tonight.
Anyway, that's how I've been for the past week.
That's lame, man. Has anyone else gotten it?
No, I keep it to myself. I'm a gentleman.
Lindsay's so loaded up on medicinal mushroom products that she's probably going to live to be 160.
Well, she also had it like just a few months ago, so I somehow dodged it at that point, and now she's dodging mine. Even though we cohabitated as like the same bedroom and everything, like I just slept facing the other way.
You dodged right into the punish.
I would not be in the same home. If Sarah got fucking sick with COVID, I'm out. If I got sick with COVID,
she'd be out. You'd kick her out.
Like, Sarah, it's not about whether I'm being exposed to the germs. It's about the viral load I'm being exposed to. So if you're sick, you're going to be constantly exposing me. So my viral load is going to be way higher, which means I'm going to get way sicker than you. That's just basic science.
That's what happened with me and Tiffany the second time we had it, that she had a very mild case. We didn't even really, she ran a half marathon with COVID and did not realize she had it because it was that mild of a case. And then by the time we figured out what she had and I started to get sick, it was the fucking hammer drop of all hammer drops.
People are like, you've already been exposed. You've already got it. Well, I don't want more of it, okay?
I'm collecting them all. Already got all my different shots. I've had 2 different strains of COVID now. Built different. I don't know.
I honestly cannot imagine having it without being able to just pump myself full of Theraflu. Like if I just had to experience the full wrath of COVID without over-the-counter painkillers, terrible, horrible.
A little ibuprofen, and that's all we got.
I was mostly doing ibuprofen. I feel like the acetaminophen didn't actually help at all when I did take it, so.
What is even in Theraflu? It's just fucking acetaminophen, right? With like a cough suppressant in it. It's just Tylenol PM.
It's got the tussive and then, yeah.
It's cold medicine. It just is in a form that you make into a hot tea. And it just feels
dextromorphan,
really good.
phenylephrine, acetaminophen. Yeah, it's just fucking every cold. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just the
diphenhydramine,
hot beverage and the hot vapors. Like it feels good. Like psychologically, it's very soothing. And if I'm going to take cold meds, I want to take it in that medium for sure.
It is nice drinking something hot and tasty or bubbly.
No, it's not when you have a fever and you can't drink hot things without making yourself even sweatier.
Yeah, sweat it out. It also makes a mean hot toddy. Theraflu does. A little honey on the bottom, Theraflu, hot water, floater bourbon, stir it all up.
I tell you, the last thing I want to put in my body, along with some acetaminophen, which I'm allergic to, is a bunch of alcohol. I'm trying to really pound my liver while my immune system is fighting for its life.
But then you get to mix it with a cocktail of different NSAIDs, and then you're just like really feel it away.
Oh, man.
I'm telling you.
Dissociative.
I'm feeling very grateful that I got to have COVID. And despite being sick pretty much since December, I have not actually had anything but like a 99 fever. Like I have not had the full on. I mean, when you get hit with a fever, man, and you're like at 101, dude, you feel like this is the way life's going to be forever. And it's horrible.
Yeah. I was bad enough just coasting at like a little bit above 100.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's not even really worth taking like fever reduction medicine at that point. It's like, this just sucks. And I'm just going to be uncomfortable and mouth breathing for 3 days, which is the worst part for me personally, is just mouth breathing, being chapped on every orifice, trying to blow my nose and bleeding all over myself instead, waking up with blood all over my pillow. Like that sucks. It sucks to be sick, can't breathe, and there's blood all over yourself now.
Listen, I get it.
What are you going to do?
I get it. So this is the Constant Crusade podcast. I am EJ Olson. This is how Nick Durham's been. Chris, what about you? How you doing?
I'm great. I'm all packed for my 4th consecutive summer voyage up to Anchorage. The only I was telling Nick right before you hopped on, the only thing I have left to do is the electronics. Obviously, because I'm using a lot of them right now. I got to get my spare dock packed up, all charge cords, things like that, and all my electronic stuff goes in my backpack. That's my personal item that's under my seat. So I've got that down to like a fine science. of how everything fits in. Laptop first, dock to one side, analog on top of dock, switch to the right, switch game case, switch game card holders on top of that, charging cables in the front pocket. Boom.
Down to an exact science. I went to Hawaii many years ago, and I took a miniature video studio with me, and I put it in the biggest suitcase I could find, and I checked it, and I said, it's in God's hands now. No random checks, thankfully, despite it looking like God knows what was wired up in that suitcase.
You weren't flying Boeing, apparently.
What a shit show that's been. Well, I imagine Nick's had plenty of time to play games while being homesick for over a week. Oh, he coughed. Oh, boy, he coughed. He got.
I just didn't want to do that in the same room.
Hey, man, that's
I'm not going to be the person who's trying to mute, but then you just have a bunch of clicking from the Yeti unmuting.
Yeah. See, I just mute in Discord and then go ham.
Let the editor deal with it.
Exactly. He'll figure it out.
It's pretty messed up. Yeah, you would think that I would play a bunch of video games, but instead I just felt like shit. So I went through and I played Paper Mario, and that's about it.
I mean, that's a whole game.
Yeah, I beat that game. I checked the save file. It said a number that I don't believe I was actively playing for that amount of time because it's a lot.
90?
It's over 40.
Oh, I was thinking something egregious.
A lot of AFK, I'm sure. I'm already at probably 3 hours at least of AFK.
AFK or just mentally AFK because sometimes I would just be like playing the game and then not be looking at the screen even totally. Like I'm looking past the screen. I'm looking in the direction of the TV, but that's about it.
That's terrible. Man, you were really in a fucking blender. You were fully lost in the sauce.
It turns out COVID is bad. Who knew? Who could have told me this? Except for me a couple years ago.
In a blender, that's now officially part of the Constant Crusade Deep lore.
They say it at least once an episode. I think it belongs there.
It's one of my many Call of Duty isms.
Getting absolutely dumpstered by this nasty virus.
Dude, you've been fully chalked this week, dude.
Chuffed.
Chuffed? Chaffed? Wait.
But you both have been playing it as well? Or EJ, did you just buy it and you haven't opened it and put it in the Switch yet?
I've tried to play it a few times, and the same thing as what happened on the GameCube. I am just bored to tears, man, and I cannot stay engaged with it for more than 20 minutes at a time. Also, okay, I just want to rant about something that I was going to put in chat, but I just didn't have the oomph. You know, in that first part of the game where you go right and you can pay that stupid looking dog 10 coins or whatever to go get your coins back from the dickhead back there, or you can choose to fight him.
Yeah, fight him. Choose violence.
I chose violence, and I kept losing. And I was like, I know that I can beat him.
Skill issue.
Hold on. This was like the first fight of the game. I hadn't done any leveling or grinding or anything. It was literally the first fight I had in that fucking game.
Grinding in a Paper Mario game. That is a wild... Those two things do not belong in the same sentence.
I went over and I fight this guy, and I realized how the math works out. If he's at 20 health, and if I continue to hammer him, if I block all of his attack, every single one of his attacks, and I just keep sacrificing Goombella by jumping on him, I'm like, the math works out. I should be able to beat him if I don't miss any hits on defense. It's simple math. So I was doing it. Guess what happens when he hits 10 HP? If you're kicking his ass, he just doesn't take damage for like 3 turns. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is not fucking happening right now.
Yeah, he does his little buff up his attack and defense.
I didn't even know. I didn't even see that happen. I'm just looking at his health, and he keeps attacking me. I'm like, I didn't see a buff.
If you look at the guy, he'll
heal.
have like a little plus number or plus red.
Big ol' honking thing that's like, look, he's stat busted.
He probably just has like a buff move. I don't remember because I kicked his ass pretty early. I don't know if I did it before like doing anything else because you don't have to do anything over there. I don't think there's even any troubles in the trouble center until after you get through Hookdale's castle. So
not at all, but it's the principle.
I'm gonna start the game over from scratch and screen record it and see because I swear to God he didn't do any buff moves. I'm sitting here defending every time he throws his fucking javelin at me or whatever. I just did 2 damage to him. He's still at 10. He's literally not. It said I did damage, but he's still at 10. How is this possible? And I was like, oh, because this is if you're going into this fight without having done any sort of leveling, you're not supposed to beat him. I'm like, this is fucking rigged, and this is stupid. So then I said, fuck him, I'm not paying this money, and I went down the pipe instead and kept yawning my way through that first bit of the game. But anyway, fuck that guy.
Fraudulent battle. It was a fake battle. It was the most disgraceful battle in the history of battles.
I don't know. I guess it's fine. And also, you probably just super guard his attacks and deal 1 damage back instead.
Also
That's also a pretty good strategy.
if you can get good.
The super guards are pretty rough, though. There is a fight that is required that you super guard, or else you cannot damage the enemy at all. And that was a good one.
That's not even an option that early in the game, is it?
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You got to hit B
Yeah,
instead of A.
it's a shorter time window to input the action, but you press B instead of A, and Mario will do like a little jump man pose, and then you'll parry basically.
Oh,
It's like a 2-frame window, I think.
well, they certainly hadn't explained it that early in the game, or else I feel like I would have done that.
Oh, it's not explained at all.
Yeah, there's the battle toad that you unlock like right when it's like the very beginning of the game. I don't know, like you talk to Frankly and he's like, we gotta go to the 1,000-year door, boy, chap, son, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then before you go to Hooktail, I think the battle toad is available. That's a new thing to this game, is the tutorial toad.
Yep.
And it's very explicit in all the different details of the mechanical systems that you could ever want, but which you would never even look at. So it's like kind of a moot point at the same time. You're like, I'm so bored, I can't talk to this toad and figure out why I'm bad at this game.
Well, what's your official Console Crusade review score? Definitely like 10 points higher than Super Mario RPG, right?
Yeah, I'd probably give this like a 90. I haven't actually like sat down and pointed out any review points or anything, but yeah, there's just so much great with this game and like a few obnoxious things and nothing bad. So like it's just a fantastic game, a great revisiting of a GameCube classic, and I don't know, it's beautiful, it sounds amazing, it's flawless. I mean, I don't know what else to like say about it, I guess.
Well, I got plenty in my bad category.
I'm going to try and put some time into it before I really have anything to say about it, because as a Console Crusade Top 100 and a Nicholas Durheim Top 10, I need to give it a fair shake before judging it. But I got one hell of a rant. Many voice messages from Chris the other night. On fire at like 11 p.m. or something. Just livid might be a little hyperbolic, but like I don't think it's not that much of an exaggeration.
Very hyperbolic.
Okay, I'm going to insert clip. He was pissed.
Well, don't insert clip me. I'll say all the same stuff I said there when we do like a formal look at this when we record next, because I can definitely plan to be done the next time that we record after my conference weekend. 2 weeks, yeah. Plus, like, Tiffany's probably not going to play games on the flight, so I'll just drop Paper Mario in and just smash it out. I'm having a good time with it. I've also been bored in not like frequently, but a number of enough times that it's like noticeable. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to take this treble board request. That's going to give me all the information I need. And it's still going to make me go all the way over to the person and talk to them so that they could give me the exact same fucking information I just read on the treble board. That was a great use of my time. Now I'm going to go fetch them an item and bring it to them, and they're going to give me 30 coins, and I'm going to do that 70 times, and then the treble board will be cleared.
It sounds like completionist problems, because you don't have to do any of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I will not be touching that.
If you're going to include it in the game, then I think it ought to be a meaningful inclusion. If it's going to be pretty half-assed, then...
Okay, fan of JRPGs, like... Come the fuck on.
So I'm just supposed to go, here's a whole feature of this game, and I'm just going to not have anything negative to say about it because it's there and it deserves to be criticized. It is very rote. The whole treble board, just, yes, it is optional. It doesn't matter. Like,
that's where it belongs on the goob, is optional.
It belongs in bad because it's bad.
It would belong in bad if it was required, but it's not, so optional.
It's a silly, silly, silly way to consider that.
Otherwise, half of like Final Fantasy 7 would be bad, but it's not because it's optional. So it's just like every JRPG.
Side content in Rebirth was excellent.
I'm not talking about a game I haven't played. I'm talking about the game I did play.
Oh, well, I haven't played that in 20 years, so I'll take your word for it.
You have to remember the era in which this game was designed, and like that hamster wheel of like I mean, you're trying to keep 12-year-olds on the RPG grind, you know? And I say RPG grind tongue in cheek because Paper Mario is baby's first RPG, more so than the last Mario RPG we reviewed. So, you know, it's that hamster wheel of just like keeping people bomping on things, but
Stomping on Koopas.
not for us. Not for us.
I have been laughing a lot. And that is, you know,
The
real,
writing is just so good.
Yeah,
dude.
that's the real strength of this game for sure. Is the writing and the colorful cast of characters. They are awesome. They are just awesome.
There is no other game in which you become a wrestler in a Las Vegas style battle arena and you are named the Great Gonzalez.
I'd like to think that this is where your own personal ethnic confusion came from, because here's this Italian guy who's getting a very Mexican name because of his slightly swarthy skin tone and big mustache. It's like, this is making sense to me now.
Grubba is very much like Southern racist coded, so it's like obvious.
Yeah.
Like this man has not seen melanin in a single person.
Oh, guys.
Yeah, but we'll obviously this game's getting a proper Goobrick.
EJ will never finish it. That's fine. He probably won't even get to Oakdale, and that's also fine. But he bought it and he put it in the Switch, and by gum, that's all I could have asked for. He upped those sales numbers first weekend.
That's for you.
That means Nintendo's getting the message loud and clear. That's a $60 vote that I'm glad you spent.
That's for
EJ.
the boys back home.
This is a top 100 game, so I think you need to finish it.
Well, it means I can sell my GameCube copy for sure. No reason to own that anymore. Bye.
Just get rid of it, like you got rid of Wind Waker on GameCube when you got the Wind Waker HD on
Okay,
Wii U.
I see. I kept that because I played
You
that
like that
version
game.
a lot, and I like that game.
You should have both.
1,000 Year Door. I only need one version, and I'm going to play the good version.
They're both good versions.
At least the original ran at 60 frames, which is far more than I could say for this thing that has a really, really hard time not stuttering when there's more than 3 characters on screen.
Oh, see, I haven't encountered stutter yet, but I would be hard-pressed to tell that the little paper animations were 30 frames per second when I was playing it. I was like, people were complaining about it. I'm like, this is not a 3D
People
action
are fucking
game.
weird.
Yeah, I was like, I would not have been able to tell you if you know, and I'm the frame rate guy, you know? And I'm like, yeah, this does what it
the
needs to do.
turn-based RPG with incredibly forgiving timing commands needs to be 60 FPS. Like, yeah, it was good to have back on the GameCube, but
I think everything should. I just think, I don't know how they haven't fucking figured this out yet. Like all these remasters and ports are like none of them are performant. I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's a cell phone from 2016. Like, it's 8.5-year-old. I mean, it's actually a decade-old tech. Like, it's crazy that it even exists. And thankfully, within the next 12 months, we'll be getting an update to it. Hopefully, just an update, a proper, reasonable update.
now we'll be playing on a cell phone from half a decade ago.
Yeah.
And we'll be thankful.
5-year-old tech.
That's 5 years newer.
I dipped into the back catalog today
8 years later.
while I was packing, and it was the episode where we talked about the OLED. And, you know, Nick going 3 years ago or something. I'm just, you know, I'm waiting for that meaningful iteration before I upgrade. It never came. It's going to be all the way to the Switch too.
I have no need for a OLED version of the Switch still.
That's totally fine.
Based on how Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was running when we were in Dundee, maybe you do need an update.
Yeah, that's the bellwether that I use is the bad port from Aspire for Knights of the Old Republic, the iPad version that still isn't on PlayStation even. Like, I don't know. That's not exactly the metric upon which I measure every game's performance.
It's a good port. Runs better than Paper Mario.
Sure.
Not on Nick's Switch.
I would still play a good game that runs a little bit choppily sometimes, apparently, according to you, than KOTOR surrounded by you guys.
Hey, that's fair. Surrounded by Us is not the place to play that for sure.
Chris is like, please don't give up. Please.
Like going into the Glitz pit whenever there's the big intro hoopla and they're like moving through the crowd, it was chugging a little bit.
Didn't happen on my Switch. That might be a problem with your version of the console.
Yeah, with my superior version. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I just want to let you know the quality control coming out of Nintendo's factories is not ideal. I have had so many. I'm like my 4th OLED or something. It's crossed the threshold into like
And you
complete
still haven't had
insanity.
Joy-Con drift. It's
crazy.
You are amazing.
It's crazy.
How could you be
It's
so lucky
ridiculous.
and so fucking piss poor unlucky at the same time that you're returning consoles, but not one time have had the issue that has plagued most of the player base for the Nintendo Switch?
You know, it might be because he's returning the consoles with the Joy-Con.
Hell no.
Potentially. Oh, okay.
I actually recently did just offload some. I only kept the colors I really wanted, okay? I used to be on a crusade to collect every single one of them that wasn't a variant console exclusive. This is years ago now. And I gave that dream up because there were too many of them.
Yeah.
And they were ugly.
There's like 5 reds.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, when they were like, here's your slightly darker Mario red to complement your neon red, I was like, what? You know?
Gotcha. C in red.
I like to color coordinate with what I'm playing. You know, like I was playing Pokemon during the holidays, so I had the red and the white going for the Pokeball theme, you know. You know, of course, you got the all whites for the white OLED just to really show off, you know, a little bling every once in a while. I'm really a fan of the Lakers purple and gold. Kept those ones. Those are nice.
Paper Mario hard to get through, but Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, now that's a hamster wheel that EJ wants to fucking spend all day on.
There are things to do in Pokemon.
If he spent all day on Scarlet and Violet, we'd have done a fucking review on this podcast by now. We're like all 6 months out from when I visited for the holidays. We're like, yeah, we're going to do a Scarlet and Violet pod. And he's just like, no, I'd rather catch like one Pokemon a day every third day and not ever on weekends. And maybe we could do it in July.
He likes to pop it on the TV and then pick up his phone and doom scroll Twitter and reply to people about basketball comings and goings. Just have some background music.
I don't think I've played Pokemon since you were here, Chris. So, yeah, it's sat languishing. Listen, this is what you get for getting me to start Portal. Didn't finish that either. But I just fucking, I get
30 minutes of this game. Oh yeah, here we go.
2 ADHD, man. I'm like, well, it's over. That part of my life's done. It's dead to me.
Good thing I smashed the whole thing out to try to catch up to you so that we could do a podcast about it.
And I got like 3 or 4 gym leaders down and like a couple of the weird big monsters. I did stuff. And then I was like, man, this sucks. So I stopped.
That is much longer than your usual trial period for something that you drop like it's hot. So I'm impressed.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet better than Spider-Man.
Oh, guys.
That's just hurtful.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean it. I'm just fucking with
We
you.
come together after not talking for 2 weeks, and it's just thinly veiled insults from everybody in every which direction.
Not that thinly veiled, buddy.
No, we're gloves off, mask off, like it's all on the table.
I could do this all day.
That's what our friendship means. Means that we could be openly a little bit hostile and giggle about it.
We've walked right up to the line and are like looking down at it and deciding if we're going to stride any further. And I think we've all decided that we're good right where we are. We've done it. This has been good so far.
The other day, I won't deep dive on this too much because Brandon is going to come back on the podcast and presumably to argue about it for some reason. But he put in the Discord the other day, the Console Crusade Discord, which you can find at solo.to/Console Crusade any time of day. Come join us and 29 of our closest friends. I said something on the podcast last week about how Ghost of Tsushima, I was like, I don't think it's based in any real, actual modicum of reality the way that Assassin's Creed is. And Brandon took umbrage with that. And he came at me pretty hard on Discord. And I voiced him with Chris. I was like, my goodness. I was like, I ain't got the patience for this right now. So we'll visit on the podcast next week. But I've all but dropped off of Tsushima. I did, however, platinum Sea of Thieves. I got it. I got my shiny trophy, number 25.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for him.
It's just a nice little romp, and even more fun when you are grinding towards a set of achievements. I'm not fully sick the way Drew is, where he's trying to get every in-game commendation. That's crazy. That's like another 150, 170 trophies or something. That's a lot of grinding, and I don't know if I have that in me. Chris, do you know your reputation with each faction?
Yeah.
Like you have your level, that can go up to 100, and then you can prestige it up to 5 times. I haven't hit 100 on any of them, and I've been playing this game for years, for probably 150 hours. I'm like, who's playing so that much that they're prestiging all of their faction levels that many times?
Andrew Dale Stevens. That's who.
It's who?
Fucking Barlow kid. Doesn't
Wait.
know the deep lore of Drew's full name.
Dale? Did I not know this?
I'm sorry if I just outed Drew's government name on the pod. Sorry, Drew.
I'll cut this.
No, don't cut it.
Oh, and here's his social security. Gresham lore.
Mother's maiden, his first 3 sexual partners. I mean, we could just lay it all out there.
The 3-digit code on the back of his debit card. Here's a CAPTCHA that he's encountering right now.
Oh, he's a human.
Sorry, Drew.
Rent free.
Chris, the other day you were like, I'll take my PlayStation to Alaska if we're going to actually play this game. I'm like, I'll play anytime.
Yeah, I was being a little facetious, but I did like a handful of times I'd like check Discord and go like, who's in the Sailing the Seas channel? Nobody texted me. And they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe they're doing higher level stuff. Or maybe I'm being a burden because I don't know how to fucking play this game. Well, actually, I mean, I could do everything. I can do everything but steer the boat now. I did some single player Sea of Thieves this morning to get some of the stupid tutorials out of the way. And I got a couple out of the way and then rabbit trailed down a bunch of message in a bottle quests. Got the side of my ship blown up by a powder keg skelly that I did not see coming down the dock. And was like, this game's not as fun without people. And also, I cannot drive the boat or park the boat without hurting the boat.
Yeah, it's quite the dance. Yesterday, we jumped in and we took down a very difficult ghost fleet. And, I mean, it is a dance between trying to keep the ship on course. And it's, you know, it's not arcadey in the sense that you're just like, all right, I'm going to hang a left here. I'm going to, you know, go where I want to go. It's like you have to know and understand the physics of the world and know the type of ship you're sailing and the size of the ship you're sailing. And it's all predictive and reacting, but there's such a gap between, okay, I need to do this thing at this certain time. When do I need to start turning the wheel? When do I need to drop the sails? You know, it's quite the dance. And when you're in a fight, especially with 2 people, and I'm like, I'm cranking the wheel and I'm going downstairs and I'm going to bail water because we're sinking. And it's quite intense. I have fun with it.
That was very madcap doing something like that just with 2 people, like you said, because you're driving and then are more aware of when damage is happening because I'm just being, you know, meathead, Ugga cannon boy blowing things up. And he's like, we got a lot of water, and, you know, going down and like boarding stuff up and bailing and popping back up and, I can get a couple shots on and circling out and coming back. And I was kind of surprised that we were able to knock that out successfully. But it was very fun.
A little hairy there
time.
A few times, but yeah, I obviously played a lot of this game, and when it came to PlayStation, I bought it almost day one just for trophies, which, call me silly, but it was a reason to get back to the grind, and I did it. I feel glad about it. I didn't realize this, but with Ghost of Tsushima Definitive Edition or Director's Cut or whatever they subtitled it coming to PC, Sony launched their PlayStation overlay and have integrated like full trophy support for Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima, which is not easy to say.
Especially if you have a lisp. They named that game specifically to attack you, EJ.
I know, it feels terrible.
Historically accurate attack on your mouth.
Historically. I would not have otherwise bought this game on PC, but there are games that I probably would/will buy on PC. And I don't know how far-reaching this integration is going to go, if it's only going to support further first-party releases, or if
First party. Oh, yeah.
It would be really nice if it supported trophies for other games. I don't know why it wouldn't.
No one's going to put the work into that.
The work? Copy and paste. The infrastructure already exists now with their overlay. It's just fucking PS Plus or whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing wrong with the infrastructure with Sony PC releases. Copy paste, brother.
I wish I could like open my PlayStation overlay and play Assassin's Creed Black Flag and play an actual competent version of that game, because the console versions are truly abhorrent. They're all just fucking terrible.
I don't know how far back the Ubi stuff goes, but Ubisoft in general has been really good with their cross-save. So it's possible that you could play through a game and then buy a version of it again on a PlayStation and then sync your saves and see if the trophies pop, because sometimes just having the save data and opening up the game will be enough to pop the trophies. Not always, obviously, you're a sicko, so you know.
I don't do that.
But sometimes it do be like that.
I don't do that.
What, you played the game? That'd be the exact same as playing it through the PlayStation overlay, EJ.
I played the game, but I'm not trying to cheat my trophies out. People who do that, they're like, well, I'm going to play the PS4 version first so that it'll auto pop in the PS5 and I get 2 platinums for the price of 1. I'm not trying to cheat. Okay, I'm not trying to pump my numbers.
Well, you're literally talking about pumping your numbers by playing the PC version. That's the exact same thing, EJ. I don't understand what the difference is.
I'm not talking about pumping my numbers. I'm talking about playing it on PC instead of PlayStation, but still getting my trophies.
On a non-PlayStation platform and then trying to cheat your way into trophies.
It's not cheating because I'm still playing the game.
But by your own weird, twisted logic, it is cheating.
We're saying 2 different things.
You're the one that talked about PlayStation trophies popping twice on a different system. I'm just talking about playing it on PC and then getting it on PlayStation so you can get the trophies, because that's the only thing that you actually want. You want to be rewarded for your hard work because you're a strong boy who deserves praise.
See, I wouldn't need to buy it on. If I go to my PlayStation overlay on PS5 right now, it'll say Ghost of Tsushima PS5 PC. So I wouldn't need to also buy it on PlayStation to pop the trophies. It is already.
And I'm telling you, that's never going to happen on any other game except for a first-party studio game.
It's stupid.
The things that aren't first-party technically, but are still published by Sony, like Helldivers.
I saw yesterday that God of War Ragnarok is still requiring a PSN login to play the game, which
Ghost of Tsushima is as well.
Seems crazy to me.
Something you don't need to do on the PS5.
Well, I imagine if you're in a country that doesn't support, how does that work? If you buy,
can't buy it, and they'll ban you if you do try playing it, because it'll like blacklist you from connecting to their servers. So they could take away the game that you did buy if you did somehow manage a way to buy it, which was the big problem with Helldivers when that happened.
And welcome to today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. Go to expressvpn.com/Console Crusade to sign up for your free trial. Trying to play Helldivers and you live in fucking Belize? Well, guess what? There's a way around that now. Send this clip to fucking ExpressVPN. Pay us, damn it!
I love that the one of the things that went viral on Twitter was the song from Animaniacs.
Yes.
Where Wacko is singing about all the different countries and as the countries that you cannot play the game on PSN or on PC. And it was a lot. It was almost a full song.
Oh no.
It was like over half the worldwide countries, like not by population, obviously, but just by number of countries, and still.
Sony
Not
cares
good.
about America, Japan, the EU, Australia sometimes, and then South America 10 years from now. That's it. One hand's worth.
They all bricked up.
This is how you know the Switch is never going to become the best-selling console of all time, because for some reason we'll just get some fucking report 2 years from now that they sold another fucking 20 million units in Brazil of the PS3.
The PS2.
And you're like, yeah, literally, they were selling the PS2 until like 4 years ago. Ridiculous.
Yeah. They made FIFA for that thing until like 2013.
What are they playing?
FIFA?
Yeah, FIFA.
Not even memeing. Like there's a FIFA 13 on PS2.
That's crazy. FIFA 13? Can you put the box art in the channel here? Who's on the cover of that game?
FIFA 14 is actually the last game on PS2.
That's fucked. A year after the PS4. And so what's the deal with some of those countries? It's just because like the tariffs are so crazy that they can't import anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of luxury taxes imposed on consumer electronics and stuff like that. So video game consoles end up costing like the equivalent of like multiple months' paychecks.
That's brutal.
Like several $1,000s for like a PS5, like $3,000 of their local currency.
That's crazy.
Yeah, electronics are expensive, and it sucks when you buy something and then something happens to it and you're like, fuck. But like, I can't imagine being like, all right, 3 months salary to replace my PlayStation. Guess who would find another hobby? This guy. Guess who's going to get really into books? This is why they love soccer so much in those countries. Like, well, I have nothing to do but kick a ball around my yard because everything else is so otherwise inflated by our shitty government. So, it could always be worse. Fuck soccer, by the way.
That's a crazy take. I don't want to touch that.
Can you imagine spending 4 hours at a game and the final score is 1-0? It's terrible.
Can you imagine spending literally 90 minutes plus a 15-minute halftime where there is literally always something going on and there's literally always movement. There's literally always activity to watch. And then the payoff's fantastic. It's just, delayed gratification. You don't get a hoop every 24 seconds or less. You have to earn it.
That's a lot of dopamine in a basketball game right there, I tell you what. You sound like a guy defending NASCAR. Oh, no, if you really know what you're looking for, there's a ton happening. He takes a left up there, and then he takes the other left. Well, he just keeps going left, but it's really fast.
Soccer's exciting. Hockey is more exciting than soccer because it's soccer with ice skates and sticks, and you can beat the shit out of each other. And then they're just like, all right,
soccer,
boys.
but with knives on your feet.
Yeah, it's like, all right, boys, go cool off for 5 minutes and then come on back in. It's just like the gloves drop and the refs just skate back. They're like, all right, kick the shit out of each other. All right, we good? Everybody good? Penalty box, 5-minute major.
Sports games that are ludicrously fun to play despite having no interest or an active dislike for the sport in real life. Golf is like number one on that tier list, right?
Golf is the most video game of sports.
Let me process that statement.
It is the most video game sport amongst sports. It's all about the physics, about the lay of the land. It's turn-based. There's nothing like rushing you to go from thing to thing. Like this is why football games are also really good for video games because they're turn-based RPGs. And some of my fondest memories playing video games with my brother was playing NCAA football with him and against him. Primarily against him because you can't really, co-op that. But just like doing the strats and like figuring out like, oh, if I do this play, if I see this lineup that he's going to be running against me, I know what positions he has strong. He's got a good running back. So he's going to try to run it up the middle. So you coordinate your defensive end so that you're like running through the middle as well and trying to get the sack. You're trying to like push down the throat. Those games are the best. Whereas basketball is always like trying to be good and like not really being there ever. Like the best it ever got was like NBA Jam, and that was like a truly like arcadey ass experience of it. He's on fire, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
2-button game. They made like a fighting game, but with a ball that you throw around. Basically, like you're just pushing offensive. You're like trying to like jockey for position, throwing elbows. Then you get a slam dunker.
Decking people, just laying them out before they can get their shot off.
I really like how you framed that, especially about football, because back in the day, like, and of course we only played NFL Street, just being a family that was not into football at all.
No blitz?
Nah, I kind of missed the blitz era. I mean, you'd play it over at Nick and Nat's house, but never really got into blitz. No, we were NFL Street. Really liked the NFL and the NBA Street games for that matter, but Crusade Top 100. And then early 2K, there was a sweet spot from like in like 12 to 14 that like they really nailed. But that's a really interesting way of putting it, where it's like one is like a turn-based strategy RPG and one is like a third-person action game. Like they're very different, and it's so easy to think of sports games as like oh, it's a fucking another sports game for chuds who don't like video games, But like that is kind of a reductive and shitty take. And Nick, I appreciate how you framed that for me.
The main problem is the fact that they've annualized them and they turn them into slot machines for adults.
Yeah.
Who have brains like children. So it is like just full like mask off, trying to excrete as much money from these people as they possibly can. And they sell like gangbusters every single year, and their return on investment is insane. Can you imagine if they made games as well as they made money?
No, because they don't. And they never will. And it's just been a long slide down into exactly what you just described. And it's been kind of sad, honestly, because
terrible. The Ultimate Team, the My Career mode, like all of that is just like mobile gaming, like slot machine shit for not gamers, but people who like sports. And it's like, if they made a more quality product, like that would be awesome, because sports games were good and there's a reason why people were fans of them. And now it's just like trying to get that dopamine high of like cracking a card pack and getting the best version of Steph Curry on your team to play online because you're paying for the battle pass or whatever. Like it's so nasty and just fucked up.
Speaking of which, I have a little bit of hype for this NCAA football reboot. Now that we're in an era where not only like name, image, and likeness players getting name, image, and likeness deals, rightfully so, to make money off of the intense physical labor that they are performing for these colleges with very little actual compensation or services provided. But even, I mean, we're at the point with the Power 5 conferences settling their lawsuit with the NCAA that is like directly now opening up a pay for play, that players are going to be able to be directly compensated by their universities. So all of this has led us to, we get a fucking NCAA football game again, with a bunch of players being able to sign in to receive a set amount of money. I think it was $600 to use their name, image, and likeness for the game, and a copy of the game, obviously. And then some of the players that they put on the cover receive like additional compensation because they've been doing like more photo shoots and press stuff and other obligations for them. This could be kind of cool. Like, this is a huge labor of love. Like, this is not an annualized, well, not anymore because it's been dead for
Not yet.
like 12 years. Not yet. But this moment with this game, there's a chance for this to be what we remember sports games being. I'm curious. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's could be so fucking fun to just rip out seasons of football with my digital Oregon Ducks. Capture that elusive national championship that we still don't have in digital form.
I don't know what the current state of Madden is. If it's similar to NBA 2K, where it's like 2K fans bitch about it every year, but they keep buying it. So I imagine the NCAA football, while great for college football fans like your brother Nick, I saw him tweeting about it. He's always tweeting about college football. This is cool for them, but I imagine as far as the quality of the actual game, it's going to be very much NBA 2K versus NBA Live.
Same publisher too, so it's like a little bit less like that sort of, oh, well, here's a different company's take on this same thing. This is like EA making this game still.
So it'll just be Madden with all of our college teams.
Well, no, it's because like the college football games were always pretty different from the Madden games of the era. And it allowed them to, because those different developers, this was EA Tiburon back in the day. And I think they still have like some shadow of its former self working on that. And they even, I remember reading about this, that they actually like snaked talent from the people that were in the active modding scene for the last EA college football game that came out. Like I think it was NCAA 14 was the last game that came out. And there was like an active modding scene for the PS3 version of that game in particular, because of the leaps and bounds that the RPCS3 or whatever the name of that emulator, it's a really badly named emulator for PS3 on PC. So there were like mod packs that people had been actively developing to like update the physics in the systems, update all the sound effects and the fight songs, change the mascots, change the uniforms, because the uniforms change and people love getting into the nitty gritty about the uniform changes. Like you talk about colorways in NBA, it's the same, but like times 10, because the NCAA has like 7,000 different teams. So it was a very dedicated fan base, and this mod community, they actually had developers come from that mod community. So they know what the people want. They know what the scene is actively. And I think, Chris, you're totally right. That is an optimistic sort of vibe to it. But I just cannot trust that EA will not just like totally shit the bed, and the publishers will publish and they will get their way as far as like digging into the hooks, the things that make people want to spend money. I've already seen like my career. I've already seen like Ultimate Team stuff. And like, obviously it's the things that make money. It's the things that keep opening up the wallet. It gets the people wanting something and spending for it. And that is the problem that I have with NCAA, is that the college football fan base are so much more ravenous than even NFL like team, like fans, even NBA fans. Like the NCAA fan base is ridiculous. So they could really easily just exploit this group of people as much as they want. And what is the recourse? Because there is no other alternative. There's no alternative to Madden. There's no alternative to the 2K NBA games. Like if you're going to play a real game about sports, those are your two options for the West, at least. I mean, you could play FIFA, and now there's going to be, or there's EAFC, and now that 2K's got the FIFA license, so there's going to be two soccer games next year. Oh boy, see which of the worst of two evils is there. Like it's just, you're really just spoiled for choice. But yeah, it is like, it's sick, and it seems like the sports games, like everyone likes to shit on them, but it's really the people who like sports games that get shit on the most by these companies, and it sucks.
You guys got me wanting to go back and play NBA 2K12 now.
Isn't it messed up that there's been like 13 years of 2K games since then, but you still want to go back to that one because it was before they got as egregious about their like money grubbing ways? Like if they could have mechanically improved the game every year since then, that game would be phenomenal. But instead, they like take steps backwards and like sideways, and you get fucking what's the guy from State Farm who's like part of the story mode?
Oh my fucking god.
What was that, like 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's within the last 2 years.
Jake from State Farm,
He's
whatever.
just
Just
fucking
yeesh.
yeah, it's gross. It's
Well,
gross.
This is the problem with, and you said it, serializing these releases.
It made sense in 2003 when you could put out a game and make like actual reasonable differences in 12 months. But now that is not the case. A real game takes like 6 years to develop. They're not taking 6 years to develop these games. So instead, they make these very tiny incremental differences, and you get a half-ass product every single year. But they still keep coming hat in hand, like shaking the box, trying to get more money out of you. So it's like, it's just so sad and ridiculous.
And it stinks too, because when you're buying a full price product every year, you expect that iteration. And so not only are you set up for disappointment and you're mad every year, even though you want to keep playing, you know, your updated rosters and whatever bullshit, you're mad that things haven't changed. And then when they do try to change things, it's half baked. And it was like, oh, we completely revamped the entire shot system this year. And you're like, why would you do that?
Oh boy, now it's going to be bad.
Yeah, why?
That's just it. And they try and make all of these half-assed, half-baked, under-considered, and certainly not earnestly considered, I would say. They try and sell them as like, oh, this is going to revolutionize. Like, oh, look at the, you know, the way that you can, you know, call audibles at the line now. Like there's a lot more, you really get more of a sense of like, you are the quarterback in that situation, and you can get more, you know, you can, you know, motion people, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, that's kind of all already been there. Why do I care? Like, why is this going to make a difference to me? And it's not going to. It's not. It's great. It's the same thing with fucking Call of Duty, man. Like anything that is an annual release, I immediately am suspicious of. Immediately. And assume that it's going to be bad. And most of the time, I think that that is proven to be true.
I need to send you a compilation of all of the bad 2K voice acting when they got a bunch of actual NBA players to
please let that be the opening this week. Oh my god.
I remember there was like Al Jefferson was in it. Shout out Big Al. Like Eric Gordon was in it. They had somebody, I think, on like every team pretty much, or at least maybe it was just the teams that you could get drafted to. I can't remember. I mean, this was like 7-8 years ago, but it was so bad. And I don't know if they still do that kind of stuff. The last 2K game I played was in 2020, and I don't know if I was playing 2019 or 2020. That was the last time I played it, and before that, it was probably the first time I played it since 2016. Maybe I just as much as I used to love playing those games, and I appreciated how it connected me to basketball, which is still to this day one of my favorite hobbies. I watch basketball. I talk about basketball. You know, it kept me engaged with what was happening and knowing those players in a way that, like, dude, a basketball season at 32 is a lot shorter than it is at 17. And nowadays, with the way players come and go, and, you know, you don't have guys playing on your team for 9, 10, 11, 12 years. You have guys playing on your team for 2 years.
Dynasty.
So I miss it. I miss it. Anyway, all that, I don't even know how we got here, but golf would definitely be the top of the tier list as far as sports we're uninterested in, but are fun to play as video games. I feel like there's got to be something obscure that none of us have actually played.
I like Wii Bowling.
That's the NBA Jam of bowling games. Are there real bowling simulators out there?
Oh yeah. I bet you I could buy you a shovelware bowling game for Switch for like $25.
Okay, but a good
Console
one.
Crusade reviews when?
A good one? What? What do you mean? You want like the EA of bowling games?
I want to play S-tier bowling games, not chaff. I take my bowling seriously.
The S tier is chaff, dude.
Yeah, brother. That's a 73 ceiling.
We've been deep on golf with friends or golf with your friends. I don't even know what it's actually. Golf with your friends.
Classic. A good game.
Drives me fucking crazy playing with the people I play with, because it's not about winning. It's not about actual golfing. It's about putting on as many bullshit modifiers on as possible and then griefing everybody to the point of wanting to put a controller through a screen.
Playing on Steam and using the fan community weird mod packs so that you're playing, and then there's PS2 Hagrid hanging out with you. And this is bullshit.
I got Brendan Allen calling into the podcast live. Should I try to get him on air here?
Yeah, let's go.
Brendan Allen, you are live on the Console Crusade podcast.
Oh, shit.
Oh, they can't hear you. I'll call you back afterward. Okay.
Wow, a scintillating segment. Speaking of bits, I have a bit to say about my ongoing playthrough of Knights of the Old Republic.
It continues.
It does continue. I've been, oh no, hang on. Before I get ramped up here, what's Nick put in the chat?
PBA Pro Bowling. Download code only. I'd like to add that to my Switch collection, please.
And there's also Strike, 10-pin bowling.
Oh, that looks like bowling with friends. Those are some modifier ass pins, if I ever saw some. If you've never gone on a rabbit hole on YouTube, by the way, of offensive bowling animations, that is extraordinarily worth your time. But Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah, I'm just having a fucking great time. I just earlier, it's probably the last I'll play till we get settled up there of this game anyway. Got into the temple on the Ricotta homeworld. And I'm getting pretty close to I'm probably like 5 or 6 hours away from being done at the most. Probably less, because I am extremely fucking OP. I was level capped basically right when I got to this planet. I didn't quite hit it before heading to the final couple of areas. But I was close. And that is what doing a lot of side quests gets you. Korriban is a lot shorter than I remembered it being. Like, I have this whole image of that taking way more time. And it probably is just, being a youth in the initial times of playing that game.
Go into Tomb, kill Ghost, talk to the weirdo back in his bedroom. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's in the tombs are short, except for the last one. And even then I was like, damn, like this was not even that long. But I just loved that, and still do love that planet because of the amount of like lore and insight it gives you into like how the Sith train their Dark Jedi. I was like, this is fucking tight. Like, they've got a whole code, and here's how they proceed through their academy and how they're trying to get in touch with their own history and some of these tombs of these ancient Sith lords. They have like archaeologists crawling around all over the place, like exhuming things and trying to like learn more about their heritage. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, this is fascinating. This is so interesting. So maybe, I inflated in my head to being something that it's not. And I also have some weird like conflations of Korriban and KOTOR 1 and Korriban and KOTOR 2, like in the Shirat Cave in Knights of the Old Republic 2. There's an additional tomb, Sith tomb, that you can get into that you can't get into in KOTOR 1. And I feel like they designed it to be used in KOTOR 1 because there is a door, an exit, and if you approach it, it says, this leads to the surface, and there's nothing for you there. I'm like, that's weird. Like, just giving me this entrance that I can't, this exit out of this cave that I can't use. But I'm having a good-ass time. A great-ass time, even. This game's a blast. It absolutely holds up. It's been fun using Canderous, who I've never used in my party before. He's just an absolute fucking unit. Just so fucking beefed out by the time you get upwards of like level 13, 14, that he just, some of those like tricky spots of like mini boss fights, I guess. I don't know how else I would describe them without being super specific to plot stuff, which I don't want to be. That would sometimes be challenging. I finish a couple of those out, MC drops, Basilo or HK-47 drops, and then it's just Canderous like sponging up like 6 dudes worth of blaster fire and just methodically mowing people down without ever getting his HP to anywhere near critical levels. He's just a fucking tank. And that's neat. I've never used him before. I think he's one of the only characters that I had not used regularly in a playthrough. I think like T3M4 maybe is the only other one that I never used. He just never interested me that much. Little astromech droid, basically. He's cool. He's neat.
There's so many interesting characters in KOTOR. Why would you play as a fucking astromech droid? The other droid is so much better.
Oh, HK-47 is the fucking droid GOAT. He is the best droid ever, period, full stop. He is the most quotable. He is the quippiest. He has the most interesting story. God knows, like, other than C-3PO being like, Anakin Skywalker built me. Like, he's just, he's just a twittering idiot all the time. And R2-D2's like, bleep, bloop, blop. And that's his whole fucking character. HK-47's the fucking GOAT. He's the man. He's the droid man. I'm really excited to get to KOTOR 2, actually. I do not have the same memory of that game as I do 1 because I've just played it so many more times. I'm going to do a little guide searching before I do that and kind of make some decisions before I start about the party members that I want to use. I want to use people I haven't used before. And my MC is going to be female again. So I'm going to have Disciple and not Handmaiden.
I am really interested to hear what you have to say about that game. 4 years removed from your last playthrough, without all the baggage of like decades of it being one of your favorite games ever, and without the restored content mod. I'm curious to see, once you're into it and your memory gets jogged a little bit, if you're going to be constantly comparing it to your time with the restored content mod, or if it turns out that mod is maybe less consequential than the community has made it out to be. And is KOTOR 2, as it released and as it exists officially, is it still in the pantheon of great Star Wars games? And also, I think I would be much more interested in playing that game front to back with you than I became after seeing you on Taurus a couple of weeks ago. And just feeling like, fuck, man. I don't know.
The Paraga Station is, to me, a way, way, way shittier tutorial area than Taurus.
I agree. It is, but it's much shorter.
It is shorter. Yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see that. Yeah, I'll be interested to see. There's a couple places specifically I remember feeling like, oh, this really, I think, has done some good work in making this feel more complete. Like Nar Shaddaa, I'm interested to see what that is like without restored content, and what actually is different, and what did I just think was restored content. Because there was a lot of little stuff, and it was that, and I think I said this when we talked about it last time, that there was a lot of connective tissue that just made the whole thing feel more complete, and took some of the sort of dangling threads that you went, wait, we never came back to, wait, hang on, like where, I don't know where that came from or why this is happening in this exact moment. That just goes a long way towards making it feel like it's what they were trying to do. And that's still, as far as I'm concerned, the official version, since the restored content is a formally sanctioned mod. I know it's not included in this, which I just really genuinely don't want to go there again, to that conversation about it being missing from the Switch version. But yeah, I am very curious, and I would love for you to play that.
I'm on eBay right now. It's come down in price. I could buy it now for $55, which is a lot cheaper than last time I looked. But I might be able to snipe a bid here.
You didn't pick that up when it came through limited run, huh?
Didn't even know it existed on limited run, and now this is why, to this day, why I still get emails 3 times a day from limited run games, because I'm desperately afraid of missing out on something like this again.
Yeah,
you missed it in the blowout too. Then could have gotten the VHS version.
$120 bullshit.
Yeah, it's only $80. You could sell the VHS crap and recoup yourself back to a normal price game.
At first, I was really butthurt, and then after realizing that they were never going to actually do the restored content, I was like, I just don't care. But maybe I kind of care now. Maybe I'll buy this.
It is a CCP Top 100.
From me, a layman whose opinion who doesn't matter at all, KOTOR 2 does have the better box art.
It's great.
Yes.
Very good box art.
And also, considering I've never played either of their games, really, I like Obsidian more than I like BioWare.
Cool.
Yeah.
I played Stick of Truth, so I have played an Obsidian game.
I say Stick of Truth. I didn't really connect with Outer Worlds. I tried. People were really hot to try on that game a couple years ago, and it felt like a really janky, like
Like a cheap Fallout in space.
That's exactly it. And Fallout to me already feels cheap and janky. I do not like Fallout. Stick of Truth they did. What else have they done? They did Pillars of Eternity, which is their live service.
Not a live service. It's like Divinity. It's just a CRPG.
Wait, this isn't the Diablo clone? What's the one I'm thinking of?
No, not really. You're thinking of Path of Exile.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of.
The other PoE.
That's right. And Avowed is going to be in the Pillars of Eternity universe. Okay, yeah. And it's all crap I haven't played, so anyway.
Someone cares, EJ.
I'm going to buy
just not us.
Chris, I'm going to fucking buy this, dude. And we are going to play this together. That tickles my taint much more than another KOTOR run.
You could just get the Heritage Pack and download the digital copies of those games onto your Switch.
Then I have to
wait for 6 hours while Nintendo's CDN tries desperately to give you like 15 gigabytes of video game.
Right, dude. I had a nightmare of a time with my internet this week. You're like just triggering me right now. I'm not going to get into it.
Sure seems like you are.
I just you had me like seeing red for a second. I'm like, okay, this is not relevant to the podcast, but. Something we did the other day, and Chris was supposed to join us. He can't hear me right now. He was supposed to jump in and watch with me, but he didn't. Was the Sony State of Play, which I ended up watching with Brendog on the Discord yesterday.
I did not and will not watch basically any of it, and maybe I'll check the Monster Hunter stuff, but that's about all I would be interested in.
See, I figured you would have been all over that Monster Hunter stuff. That was the only decent thing they showed.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Monster Hunter.
But you haven't looked at it yet. That shocks me. That's all I'm saying. It surprises me.
I don't know. That game's next year. That doesn't exist yet. Why should I care about it now?
That's fair. That's fair.
Got 12 months, like at least before that game comes out. And also when I'm playing it on PC, I'm going to be playing it by myself anyway because all my friends are dickhead losers. Won't play a goddamn Monster Hunter with me.
Onboard me.
Brandon to jump on with me, but he's not. Is he a PC boy? He's not a PC boy. He's be playing on PlayStation 5.
I would be shocked if his PC would hold a candle to a new Monster Hunter game, but... Maybe it'll.
Bro, you're talking to me. I've got a GT. What is it? 2070 Super. Like I don't think I could barely handle that game at 1440p.
I think he's got a. Yeah, I think he's got a 960 or a 970 in his rig. Like he's
okay. Never mind. That's a bit.
Yeah, he's like a 10-year-old GPU, dude. Like, and it handles what he does.
We can play Minesweeper together.
Well, I mean,
top 100.
Listen, give the 9 series their fucking due. Those are little tanks.
He could run Skyrim at 30 FPS maybe if he's lucky.
Hey, listen, I upgraded from was it a 7770 to a GeForce
980
680. I got either 670 or 680. I got a 670. No, I got a 660 Ti. I upgraded from in like the first month I owned my gaming PC, a 660 Ti from the Radeon 7770. Anyway,
I'm a TI-82 man myself.
Playing Drug Wars and Block Quest or whatever.
Hell yeah! Sorry I couldn't jump in and watch. I was getting cleaned up, but it was a lot of schlock and
it was crap. It was crap.
A lot of crap, and then Astrobot. Yes,
Astrobot looks really cute.
Oh, I'm so stoked for this. Like Astro's Playroom was such a delightful surprise for a pack-in game. To just be this really fun, quippy, well done, loving homage to everything that Sony's ever done with the PlayStation line, and also managed to be like a really competent collectathon platformer at the same time. So I'm super fucking here.
It was a fun plat. I went back and got that mid last year, and I really enjoyed it. It's cute. I am a little dubious of how they are going to extract a full priced or even a $40 game out of that 4-hour experience. Part of me is like, are they just going to like make this free? Are they just going to release this on PS Plus or something? Which I think would be doing the game a disservice. So I'd be curious to see, without the general PlayStation conceit, even though he's riding a fucking, DualSense jet around in that first part of the teaser or whatever. So like, there's still going to be the PlayStation Easter egg thing, but I don't know if it's going to be like you said, a loving deep dive on like the lore of PlayStation history. And without that, you can still make a great platformer. Will they? Are people going to get this 4-hour game for $60 and be like, wait, this is way less fun when it's not free?
Like, it won't cost $60. It'll cost their cheap version of video game pricing, $50.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
my guarantee for you. Miles Morales price.
That's right.
I think they will. And I think there will be plenty of Sony related things in there. Like, I mean, fucking Astrobot Kratos is at the very least like going to make an appearance, but he was in the trailer multiple times. And I would need to go and watch the whole thing again without like half and halving my attention while I was also getting the apartment tidied up.
So Brendan and I jumped in like 14 minutes late, 18 minutes late, something like that. Because we were playing Call of Duty, and I was like, oh shit, the state of play started at 3. And so we're pretty late to the party. But we decided to watch it from the beginning, which gave us the ability to kind of skip through things we didn't care about. Let me tell you, the 14-minute intro for this piece of shit game, Concord, with the world's cringiest. It was like a fucking 14-minute cutscene. I was like, oh, this looks really nice. Not actual gameplay. Terrible, cringy voice acting. Just the most rote bullshit. I'm like, Chat GPT wrote this after watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and
everything is Guardians of the Galaxy now. It makes me want to fucking kill myself.
Well, you know what was really popular 5 years ago?
Yeah, right?
Overwatch clones.
Yep.
And Guardians of the Galaxy, baby.
To steal a euphemism from Chris here, or a colloquialism rather, I was gobsmacked when I realized this was not gonna be some like crappy space RPG, but this was a shitty PvP shooter. My jaw hit the floor, and I was like, they did not just spend 15 minutes on a cinematic for a piece of shit FPS game, arena shooter. I cannot believe this is how they're starting out. And I was like, the rest of the show is useless. And
Whammy
guess what?
canned it.
It was.
You gotta think also, like, those, I mean, whether it's actually pre-rendered CG or in-engine footage or whatever, like, how expensive do you think that was to capture and to write and to produce? Like, they probably spent $1 million a minute on that. That's what like Blur cost back in like, what, 2010? So that's got to be like pretty cheap rates at this point. So they spent about $14 million on that bit of advertising at you, EJ. And how does that make you feel? Does it feel like they spent their money well, does it?
Absolutely infuriates me. Infinity Nikki looks like a game that Brandon's going to fucking
Hilarious.
love.
Hilarious.
Otherwise, it was just a lot of nothing. New Warriors games, like talk about absolute fucking junk food. Like, what do we got for the state of play this month? I don't know. Let's do another Warriors game. Like, not that they've been developing this game for years. They were just like, let's throw that in there. Like, they're all the same. This could have been any other Dynasty Warriors game with a different logo slapped over it. And I'd have been like, oh yeah, okay. We're getting a 14th one of these.
Those fans are fed. Good for them.
Are there a subset of fans who are like mad that we're getting all these like iconic franchise spinoffs in the Warriors series?
Yes.
That's crazy. That's fucking
Yes.
sick.
Because they water down the formula. It's not the same, tried and true. Like, I can't play this. There's no Lu Bu.
I rely on it!
Those people exist, and they do rely on it, EJ. There are fans of Samurai Warriors, but not Dynasty Warriors, because the franchises like did like a little mini split there for a bit.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever. Wait. Where the Winds Meet, is that the game I'm thinking of? Or was it the weird space game?
I don't know.
Where
You
the
tell
Winds
me,
Meet
you were
was the
there.
one it was the Koi Souls game. It was the space one that looked interesting to me. That was like Bloodborne in space. Ballad of Antara was Bloodborne in space, which you're gonna laugh at when you finally see that trailer because that's totally not what it is. But that's what I said to Brennan in a moment.
This troglodyte doesn't even understand that this has nothing akin to Bloodborne. That was me trying to be a Frasier about Bloodborne.
It was just like half weird, like turbo fucking weeb shit, and then like creepy Lovecraftian vagina monsters coming out of space holes. I don't know what this is trying to be, but it's definitely a Souls ripoff.
It is what it is.
So
Vagina monster tracks. Boy, Silent Hill 2
Rayonics.
Silent Hill 2 looks fucking terrible.
awful.
I can't believe they released that.
I can.
Period. Well, I can believe that
Konami?
I can believe it's going to be that bad that they're going to release something that's that bad. I believe that wholeheartedly. But that they would put that trailer out and expect that people would get excited. That thing, it's the actual gameplay sections aren't even running. Like it's barely running, and you're like, yes, this is how we want to market this product. Is with a trailer that's barely performant. You couldn't even fake it with like cutting and doing like any like editing bullshit. You're literally just like, here you go.
No, that would require a singular modicum of effort.
Right.
And they'd rather just go, there you go, ta-da. proudly sign their name and take the cash money check from Sony, please, because they are desperate for any sort of third-party support. Whew.
So here's, and I don't have any problem saying this because the trade deadline will be passed by the time that this is released. But today, as of recording, is May 31st, our Fantasy Critic trade deadline. And Brendan and I were on Discord for a good while earlier trying to concoct some sort of trade. I had a couple of things I wanted to potentially shuffle around. Again, not looking at the immediate future, but looking at, what does 4 months look like when I have 2 slots to fill and no trade mechanism to work on the margins, right? So I'm trying to think ahead, and I was trying to think of a way to get off of one of my counterpick slots, which I'm like, Rift. I think Rift's coming out, but like, if it, anyway, I was trying to convince Brendan to do something. I couldn't get anything that worked for me. I was like, no matter what I do, if I just do nothing, it'll work out better for me, even if everything goes chalk. Okay. All that to say, see, we say chalk, there's 2 very different meanings. Like, I'm like fully in a blender. I've been chalked all afternoon. Completely different than something going chalk, right? There's very distinct meanings here. But Brendan was like, well, what if we do a trade? You trade me your Mario, whichever Mario game I have, unreleased, unannounced Mario. I'll super drop the counter pick on it so you can drop that slot. You take my Berserk Boy. And then we were trying to scheme on how do we convince Brandon that I use my super drop on Suikoden so he can get off Suikoden and he can replace it with Silent Hill 2. And I was like, I don't even think we could trick Brandon into that, dude. He's like, no, it looked really fucking bad. But I was like, well, there's a world where we could, you could pitch it as being, well, look what happened with all the remakes last year. Look what happened to the Capcom remakes. Oh my God, Resident Evil, Silent Hill 2 is coming for theirs. Not gonna work. It seems so unrealistic after watching that trailer that I didn't even send Brandon a voice memo about it. I was like, that's probably a non-starter. I was like, we gonna get a 3-team trade going at the trade deadline? Let's go!
The game looked bad enough that you didn't think you could even potentially trick Brandon into picking it up in our league.
This is not a commentary on what I think of Brandon.
I'm saying it's a commentary on what you think of the game.
Well, yes.
And how bad it actually looks. That it is so readily apparent that even you in your machinations, your trickster Loki energy that you're trying to scheme together with Brennan poorly, and then even in that high moment of you thinking, oh, this grand idea, if I could just do this, you couldn't even lie to yourself into thinking that you could get Brandon to pick it up.
Right. That's exactly right. And again, not a commentary on Brandon as a person, but look at all
the more you keep saying it, the more it seems like you're covering.
Yeah, the lady that protests too much, methinks.
Look at all the, and I think you guys can all agree with me, look at the horrendous crap that he has bid on or drafted in this league, and somehow they've all been decent. So, say Chris overpays for Silent Hill 2, which he can't because it's a remake and his flex slot is full. But in this imaginary scenario, it would be a 72. But if Brandon did it, easy 82
minimum.
Easy. Like, what the fuck?
He's got dumb luck. I don't know.
It's fucking ridiculous. So I was afraid of tempting fate. I was like, let's let sleeping dogs lie here.
It somehow didn't work for Sandland, but
I was gonna say, yeah.
Everyone misses once.
Or Ayuden Chronicles.
Aren't those games all better than Nick's last pickup? What does Haunty have?
74.
Bro, it got devastated by a single 4 out of 10 review from Nintendo Life.
Yeah,
they had a bad time.
It was at an 80. Respectable. Totally fine. Perfectly cromulent.
There's a world, because this is Nintendo Life we're talking about. Complete
There's
homers.
a world they would have given it a 10.
Well, there's a world that they change the review when the game gets patched and becomes an 8. And it changes your score. Because they wouldn't release an update or a new review. They would just rescore it because it's fucking Nintendo Life.
Yeah, no rules. If you have the name of a console manufacturer in your website's name, I don't trust your reviews. I'm sorry.
No integrity whatsoever. I do like a lot of their video content. Some of their guys are pretty cool. And one of them lives in Eugene and routinely hits me up when I'm selling video game related things. And I have never actually sold to him because he wants everything at 2010 prices. Sorry, Chief. Not gonna happen. This has been a really negative episode of the Console Crusade, but we've just been talking shit about everything to each other, about things. we like, things we don't like.
Look how much we're smiling too. I mean, we're having just a fucking jolly ass time.
Talk about being sick. No, fuck you.
Hey, at least I was literally sick.
You were.
It's true.
Boys, I was in Portland last week, and I have to drive up again this week. I'm too old to be coming up every weekend, you know?
Oh my God.
How's this been for an episode of the Content We Say podcast? Great catching up with you, fellas.
Yeah, good chatting.
Absolutely.